Imagine sailing across a giant ocean with nothing but the stars and a weird rock to guide you. That's how the first explorers did it. The compass changed everything. Let's uncover its secrets. Ancient Chinese spoons, Vikings with magic stones, and the biggest navigation fail in history. Imagine trying to find your way without a map or a phone. That's how it was for sailors a long, long time ago. The compass changed all that, but figuring out who invented it is like a super old mystery. Most clues point to China, way back in time. They had special rocks called lodestones that were kind of like tiny magnets. At first, they used those for telling fortunes, but then someone super smart realized those rocks always pointed north. Chinese sailors started using the lodestones to help them figure out where to go on the open ocean. This was a huge deal. But here's the twist. Maybe the Chinese weren't the only ones. Stories about the Vikings, those awesome sailors from the north, say they had their own special sunstone that might have helped them find their way. There are even whispers about ancient Egyptians using shadows to figure out directions. Kind of like a super old compass. But the thing is, we haven't found proof of those other compasses yet. Get this, the first compass wasn't a fancy needle in a box. It was a special kind of rock called a lodestone. This rock is like a natural magnet, and the Chinese figured out if you floated it on water, it would always point north. Talk about cool. The Chinese got even smarter. They made a special spoon out of lodestone. They put it on a super smooth plate, and guess what? The handle of the spoon always pointed south. It was like magic, a way to find your way even when everything else looked the same. Around the same time, people near the Mediterranean Sea, where Italy and Greece are, had their own idea. They took a metal needle, touched it with a lodestone, and floated it in a bowl of water, kind of like the first Chinese compass, but in a bowl. Those first compasses weren't perfect. Sometimes they got a little confused, but they were the start of something big. They helped explorers go further, traders find new places, and showed that even when you can't see where you're going, there are hidden forces out there to guide you. It gets a little tricky. The Chinese were definitely the first to use magnets to figure out directions. But cool thing is, sailors in Europe figured it out all on their own later. They had been learning about magnets from really old ideas from Greece, way back in time. We don't know exactly who was the first person to realize a magnet could make metal point north. Their name is lost to history, kind of like a hidden treasure. But here's the important part. This invention was huge. It changed how people sailed, found new lands, and understood how the world works. So maybe even if there wasn't just one inventor, they all deserve a big round of applause. The compass didn't just appear and stay the same forever. It went on its own adventure, changing and getting better over time, just like explorers were using it to go on their own adventures. At first, compasses were simple and could get a little mixed up by the wind or waves. Then, smart people in Europe came up with a dry compass. They put the needle in a box with a cool compass card inside, kind of like the compasses we have now. This kept it safe and helped sailors see directions more clearly. As explorers went further, they needed to be even more careful about where they were going. That's when they added something called a lubber's line to make the compass super accurate. But sometimes the compass got confused by changes in the Earth's magnet. Scientists had some work to do. Later, they made a new kind of compass with liquid inside. This helped it stay steady on rocking ships. And imagine trying to use a compass in the dark. That's why they made dials that could glow. In the last few hundred years, there have been even more upgrades. Soldiers in wars got special wrist compasses, and we figured out ways to fix those tricky magnet problems. The compass is more than just a tool for finding your way. It shows how people kept inventing ways to explore and understand the world around them. Every time the compass got better, it was like we could all see a bit further. Sailors using compasses noticed something super weird. Sometimes the compass wasn't quite right. It would be a little bit off, and they wouldn't end up exactly where they wanted to go. Here's the secret. The compass needle doesn't point to the real North Pole, the one on the very top of the globe. It points to something called the magnetic North Pole, which is a bit different and kind of moves around. Imagine trying to follow a map with a compass that's a little bit confused. You wouldn't end up in the right place, especially if you were sailing really far north or south. Once sailors figured this out, they were super clever. They started doing some special calculations to figure out where they actually were, even if the compass was a bit off. Some even adjusted their compasses with little metal weights. Nowadays, our compasses are much better at finding the real north. They have special stuff inside that helps them stay on track. But when compasses were first invented, it was a whole different adventure. The compass is more than just a tool. It's like a story about how smart people can be. It started out simple in China a long, long time ago and helped them find their way. Then the compass changed and got better, just like explorers used it to change the world. Because of the compass, brave sailors could sail to places no one had been before. They made new maps, traded with faraway lands, and learned so much about the whole planet. Even now, the compass is like a symbol, reminding us to find our way. Maybe it's not always about going on a big ship, but it helps us figure out what to do and where we want to go in life. If you loved learning about the compass, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome history facts, and ding that bell icon so you never miss an adventure.